Take a moment to arrive. Wherever you are, however you are, let your body find a position that feels comfortable and supportive for you. And if it feels comfortable, allow your eyes to close or soften your gaze and let your breath meet you just as you are. And with every inhale, allow a little more space inside of you. With every exhale, invite a softening. No pushing, no pressure. Just invite a bit of softening. So inhale, more space. Exhale, softening. As you breathe, begin to notice, is there a part of you that already started to commenting on how you're doing this? A voice that says you're not doing it right, or that you should be better by now. If so, gently acknowledge it without pushing it away. Just notice it's there. You might say inwardly, I see you. No argument, no agreement, just presence. And let your next breath be an invitation to silence that voice, but to sit beside it with a little bit more of kindness. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to obey it. Just notice what it's trying to protect you from. And if that feels okay, place a hand on your chest or on your belly and feel the warmth of your own presence. What if this moment is enough? You don't need to earn your worth here. You don't need to perform for love. You're allowed to meet yourself as you are, with care, not critic. Beneath every judgmental voice is often a younger part, tired, afraid, or simply trying to stay safe. What if you can make some space today, not to silence those parts, but to hear them differently? Let your breath settle naturally now without effort. And when you feel ready, begin to gently return to the space around you, carrying with you just one simple truth. You are not your inner critic. You are the one who is listening to the voice with love. Welcome to today's session. Tired of inner critic? Start to speak to yourself with love. Now, many of us live with a voice, if you just heard it in the meditation, that's constantly judging, or shaming us, especially when we are already struggling. If you are ever felt like you are too hard on yourself or can't seem to silence that critical voice in your head, you're not alone. Today we'll explore where this inner critic comes from, why it forms, understand how our brain responds to it, and also how we can bring a shift with your relationship with it, gently and compassionately. This isn't about shutting the voice down. It's about understanding it's trying to protect you from. It's about learning to speak to ourselves with care, what you truly need. And that from this grounded awareness, we'll then move it into a guided inner process using IFS, internal family system. Don't worry if you haven't been here before or you don't know what is IFS. I'll guide you. It will be followed by a gentle sound healing using tuning forks. which continues the process. And then we'll close the space with your reflections or questions. So for now, take a breath. Just arrive. There's nothing to prove here. Just a space to be with yourself differently. Let's begin by reflecting for a moment. What does your inner critical voice say when you make a mistake? Is it kind? Is it neutral? Or does it say something sharp? You always do this, so stupid. No one is going to take you seriously, etc. Okay. If that voice feels harsh or punishing, you are not alone and you're not broken. This voice inside doesn't rise from nowhere. It's likely began as a response to survive. When you were young, especially in an emotionally unsafe environment, your nervous system learned fast. If love or safety felt conditional, you adapted by tuning or turning that external criticism inwards. So, example, a child repeatedly scolded for not trying hard enough may grow up with an inner critic voice that constantly says, you're lazy, do more, you're not trying hard enough. Why? Because it was safer to blame themselves than to ask than to actually stand up for yourself, or with the risk of rejection. Why does it come in and feels? Because it feels familiar. It sounds something that you've heard before. Now that voice, as painful as it is, often formed from one perspective or one purpose, is to protect you, to prevent humiliation, failure, or abandonment. It's like a very old security system, well-meaning, but stuck in past. For example, someone who grew up in a home where mistakes were punished might hear an inner voice say, get it perfect, or else there will be consequences. Now, that message worked once as a younger you to avoid punishment, but now it keeps you paralyzed or anxious in an adult life. What started as a way to stay safe often becomes the very thing that causes ongoing pain. So it can block growth. It can block you from having joy. It can block you from having connections, not because it's evil, but because it never learned any other way. Think of it like an overprotective guardian who only knows how to criticize. With things like, you will embarrass yourself, don't even try, you're not good enough. This voice, it speaks in fear, not in truth. So today, we don't try to silence this or fight this voice. Instead, what we are going to try and do is meet it with curiosity and, if possible, with compassion. Once we understand the real reason of this voice being there, we'll explore what is this part of afraid of. What did it have to endure as a young one? And from that understanding, we begin to shift the nature of our relationship with it, not through force, but through compassion. Because here is the deeper truth. You are not the voice that criticizes. You are the one who is capable of listening to it and choosing a different way. Now, let's take a few moments to understand what happens inside when we are caught in that self-criticism, not just emotionally, but also biologically. When that inner voice says, you have failed again, or you will never be enough, your brain doesn't treat that as just as a thought. It interprets as a threat. Now, neuroimaging studies show that self-critical thoughts activate the same regions that light up when we experience physical pain or fear, particularly the amygdala, the dorsal anterior, the cortex, and the prefrontal areas tied to error detection and inhibition. So even if you are just opening an email or replying to a or replaying actually a conversation from yesterday, your body might react as if you're under real attack. Think of someone applying for a job who hears their critical inner critic say something like, "You're not qualified. Don't embarrass yourself." That person might feel sweaty, tight in the chest, or even frozen, not because the job is dangerous, but because the voice inside them has triggered their brain's alarm system, which then activates into the body. Now, here is a hopeful part. When we learn to respond to ourselves with kindness instead of judgment, a completely different set of brain region comes online, gets triggered. Now, these includes the ventral vagus complex, the medial prefrontal cortex, and parts of brain associated with empathy and social connection. In other words, self-compassion shifts us from survival mode into safety. This is why in IFS, we always go towards curiosity and compassion, because your brain shifts to a different region. And when you say to yourself after a mistake, "That was hard, but I'm learning. It's okay," your nervous system settles, your muscles unclench, your breath slows down. You're telling your body, "We are safe." And this is not a weakness. This is emotional regulation in action. Let's be clear. None of us were born criticizing ourselves. We learned it slowly, repetitively, often from our caregivers, teachers, systems, or cultures that made something like love, safety, or success feel conditional. So take an example, a child who's only praised when achieving something might grow up believing, if I don't perform perfectly, I'm not lovable. That belief hardwires into the brain, and the critic becomes the enforcer of the rule. So over time, the brain begins to prioritize those pathways. It's like walking the same path through a field again and again, and it becomes the only way we know. Again, there's a good news that these patterns are not permanent. The brain has neuroplasticity, which means it can adapt, it can change, it can rewire. But it doesn't happen through force. It happens through repeated gentle awareness. So, for example, if the critical voice says, "You are failing again," and you pause, you breathe, and you respond with, "I hear your fear, but I'm okay now." So you're stepping off from that worn out path, neural pathway, and you're beginning to forge a new one. And just like in a forest, if you stop walking the old trail and start making a new one, eventually it becomes easier to follow. This is how healing begins, not by erasing the critic, but by relating it to differently. And so in this session, we are not trying to shut the inner critic down. We are trying to learn to hear it, understand it, and slowly bring it out of survival mode. Because beneath that harsh voice is often a part of you that just wants to keep you safe. And you are not the voice. You're the one learning to lead this voice from fear into with love. Now that we have explored how this inner critic gets formed and how it impacts our brain and body, let's talk about something most of us didn't grow up learning: self-compassion. For many, the very idea of being kind to ourselves can often feel unfamiliar and in some cases threatening. But self-compassion is not about learning or about letting yourself off the hook. It's about how we hold ourselves accountable, that we care instead of shame. Now, researchers have found these three essential elements in self-compassion. One is self-kindness instead of harshness. So we all make mistakes. We all fall short. But where do we go with that pain? Most of us go inwards with judgment, blame, or silence. Self-kindness means speaking to yourself the way you would speak to someone you deeply love. Example, if a friend forgot an important appointment, you would likely say something like, "Oh, you have been overwhelmed. It's okay. Let's figure out what might be the next best time." But to help ourselves, we might say, "You are so unreliable. What's wrong with you?" Now, pain often tricks us in believing we are the only one. But imperfection is not a flaw. It's a part of shared human experience. Everyone wrestles with doubt. Everyone has an inner critic. Take an example. A parent struggling with guilt might think everyone has it together. What's wrong with me? But in truth, many are carrying the same silent fear. So self-compassion says, this struggle doesn't separate you, it actually connects you. So when the inner critic speaks, we often become fused with its voice. We forget that it's just one voice, one perspective, not the truth of who we are. So when you become mindfully aware and allow yourself to pause, step back and say, "Oh, that's the critic again. I see you, but I don't have to follow you today. What if I look at you differently today?" So before we move forward, take a moment to ask yourself, if my best friend made the same mistake I did, how would I speak to them? And could I offer even a small piece of that to myself just for today? You see, the inner critic isn't your enemy. It was born to protect you from pain, from shame, from rejection. But now you have a choice to relate it to differently, not with fear, but with curiosity, not with silence, but with kindness. So as we move forward in this session, next part of the session, I would invite you to turn gently inwards. We are not fixing anything. We are simply listening. You don't have to force anything to happen. There's no right way, or there's the only way. And before we begin, I'm going to leave you with two questions to think about. that you can go inwards to understand. When you notice that inner critic voice being hard on you, what does it usually say? And how does it make you feel? And can you remember a time when you truly needed kindness from yourself or others, but instead felt criticized or dismissed? Now we are going to take, I'll let you take some time to think about this. Let these questions settle in you. And take a breath, and we will begin soon. And before we begin, I want to invite you to keep an object with you. And this object will represent the inner critic part of you. It may be a stone, a toy, a figurine, or just something that feels right. So if you can keep that object near you. Now take a moment now to find yourself in a comfortable position. Let your body begin to settle. Allow your breath to soften and your attention to gently turn inwards. You don't need to do anything or be any particular way. Just allow yourself to arrive in this space as you are. And if it feels safe, you can close your eyes or soften your gaze and let the outside world quiet down just for now. And you're always welcome to open your eyes and take note when you need to. Don't need to dig or force. Just simply invite your awareness to the part of you that carries that critical voice. You don't need to dig, you don't need to force. Just softly ask inside of you, is that critical part here with me now? Where do you feel its presence in or around your body? It might show up as tightening in your chest or in your shoulders or even an image. Whatever shows up, know that this is part of you, not all of you. And as you notice this part, gently turn your attention towards it. You can breathe into that area of your body. See if you can relate to it and feel it in or around your body, or look at that image. And ask inside, How do I feel towards this part right now? You might notice frustration, fear, curiosity, or compassion. Notice how you feel towards it right now. And if you feel resistance or any other voice coming in, just notice that too. And you can let those parts know, I see you. I will come back to you later. For now, please step back and give me space so I can focus on this inner critic and see if they give you space. And return your focus to the inner critic and softly say, I see you. I am here with you. I like to understand you. I'm curious to know more about you. And notice how that part responds, whether it softens, grows louder, or stays quiet. And gently ask, I'm curious to know, what is your intention for me? What do you actually want for me? Notice what you hear. Acknowledge what you heard and ask a follow-up question. I'm curious to know, what are you afraid would happen if you didn't speak up to me this way? What are you afraid would happen if you didn't speak to me this way? What are you trying to protect me from? Continue your query. Ask, what is your biggest fear for me if you did not protect me this way? What are you afraid would happen to me? Which is your biggest fear? See if you can acknowledge by saying, thank you for telling me. I didn't realize how hard you have been working to protect me. Now, from a place of curiosity, maybe some compassion, ask, how long have you been doing this role for me, this job for me? Do you remember how old I was when you first took on this role and what was going on in my life then? How long have you been doing this job role for me? How old was I when you first took on this role and what was going on in my life at that time? So you may sense an age, a younger version of yourself, and let any memories, images, or feeling come gently. Acknowledge and feel compassion for this younger you, and let the younger you know that it is not alone. It has you present. And now see if you can turn back to the inner critic. And you might say, you shouldn't have to carry that burden alone. Thank you for protecting me the only way you knew how to do. And let this recognition soften the space between you and the protector and the critic. Now that you have spent time connecting with this part, if it feels right, bring your attention to the object you have set aside for this session. And see if you can now gently have this object represent this inner critic, not as a way to push it away, but as a way to honor its presence outside of you. So hold this object in your hand. Look at it and notice how it feels to see this part from a little distance. To recognize it as separated from you, but still deeply connected. And you might say inwardly or aloud, this is you. I see you, inner critic, and I keep listening. And let this act of externalizing be a gesture of respect. Now ask this part, this object that you hold in your hand or inside, do you actually want to keep doing this role or job? Or have you just been afraid to stop doing it? Many parts don't want to be critical. They just don't know any other way. So you can ask, what would help you to feel safe enough to ease up a little? What do you need from me now? Take note of whatever answer came up. And take a moment to thank this part and say, I hear you. You matter. You are not alone. I will keep coming back and checking on you occasionally, daily if possible. Whatever you can do, commit for that. Every day check, every other day check, weekly check. Let your breath anchor this connection. Let your body receive it. And if you'd like, offer a phrase to yourself. I'm here now. I'm the one who can lead with care. And thank this part for continuing to play its role. And for agreeing to be here today and eventually change its role with you. When you feel ready, slowly begin to return to the space around you. Feel the feet in your floors, your seat on the chair, and gently open your eyes. And if you want, you can take some notes while we prepare for the tuning fork session. Okay, so the next part is tuning fork. Again, a disclaimer, if you've been through chemotherapy or you had a recent head injury or surgery, then you may be sensitive to sound, so either you can log off or you can lower the volume. Now, if you haven't been here before and you're new, just very quickly. So we use tuning fork as a way to basically connect to our biofield, which is this torus that you see around. And the way we use tuning fork to connect with it and release whatever is holding as patterns there through your lifeline is by opening the two channels, so below the feet, top of the head, so that the back channel all your chakras, as we call it, gets opened up. And then use a pendulum to know which chakra to work based on what is the topic of the day today and your collective field. So, for example, if it comes to working on the heart, left side, right side, so we go to the corner of the torus, you see this field. So at the edge is the point of your conception when you were conceived, you got into this world. That's when the biofield got formed. And then we basically go in using tuning fork, specific tuning fork, to find distortions in the field. And every distortion is an invitation to know that there was something there which is still holding space to be cleaned. So it has two elements. It has timing, how old were you, and it has an element of some form of emotional baggage. So you will hear me say, well, okay, you are 6 months in mother's womb. I feel fear. I feel this, feel that. Whenever you hear timeline, you will, if there is something that comes up for you, bring that in, whatever that memory or what that thing is, and we will use a tuning fork to basically clear it up. Okay, so that's the process. Okay, so we'll go through the timeline and we'll see whatever comes up in the next 15 minutes. Okay, here we go. So you will not see me, but you are going to hear me. Okay, here we go. So we start below the feet, top of the head, and then on one of the chakras. So you start below the feet using 144 hertz tuning fork. You are going to now hear, yes, one more thing, breathing. So you'll have two kinds of breathing. Breathing through your nose. So you will hear me say breathe through your nose. So take a breath through your nose and you breathe out like that. So it's a breath. This is when we'll clear up stuff. And the second one is sometime when there is huge resistance or huge emotional baggage. We may have something like and so you release. Okay, those are two things that you hear me do. Here we go. So we open below the feet. So I'm pointing tuning fork through your feet toward the backbone to open a channel, and it's getting stuck in the heart. So try and open it up. Take a breath. Yeah, there's a lot of heaviness. Now this also helps to ground, to stay connected to Mother Earth. Okay, take a breath. I'm going to ground you into Earth. Okay, we're going to go to the top of the head. Now open the channel from the top of the head down to the backbone, to the feet into Earth. Now this is connecting to divine power. And immediately stuck in the scalp, so take a breath. Again into the heart. Okay, so that is done. You'll not hear anything because I'm running a pendule now. Based on what as a collective needs to be cleared, will show up. I'm on the root chakra, nothing. Sacral, nothing. Solar plexus, nothing. Not in heart. Okay, it wants to. It's in the throat. And it is going a bit crazy. Okay. Okay, yeah. Okay, there is a resistance somewhere. Anyway, it's about the throat chakra. Sometime with throat chakra, throat chakra on the left side, and this is about things you have never expressed that have been suppressed. So it's common to have resistance to open up what you have suppressed, maybe all your life. So yeah, I'm not surprised. There's a bit of resistance, and that's okay. If you feel as well yourself feeling resistance, just acknowledge. Okay, I know. Is my throat chakra. Something wants to come up and express itself. And I don't feel ready yet. This can happen. Okay, so I'm going to use another tuning fork to go into the timeline. So we'll start from your time of when you were conceived and move inwards to the present moment. Okay, so this is a different tuning fork, 174 hertz. So I'm 6 feet on the left of your throat, the left side of your throat. This is point of conception. Yeah, the usual. Oof. Resistance from father energy or male energy, not necessarily masculine energy. And it's, wow, it's saying you have to suppress your expression, if that means something for you. And immediately it feels in the heart. So take a breath. So this is a masculine energy which is saying at that time that I want to suppress your expression, your truth. So I'm using another tuning fork to clear it up. Whatever that means to you, stay with that. That makes you feel emotional. Just see if you can connect to that, the very beginning of your existence in this planet Earth, that cell of yours. It may not have form, but it may have the spirit. And just see if you can connect with it And let it know that you are free to express yourself. I am here to hear you. And if it feels heavy, take a deep breath. Just notice your connection to that cell of being just formed, that now you're welcomed and with love and said, you are, I support you if you are free to express yourself as you are. Nothing to change. Okay, so 3 months into, or 4 months, 3 to 4 months into pregnancy. So you're in mother's womb. And there's a combination of anxiety or fear and sadness. Now, most of the time, this is not of the baby, yeah? It is in the environment, mostly mother, experiencing it eternally. So see if you can give assurance to the little one. This is not yours. You don't have to carry it. Same thing. Give it permission to express to you freely. And see what comes up for you. Stay compassionate and love with that little one. So it feels a lot of fear. And it's not of the little one. That doesn't belong to it. It comes from outside. So see if you can explain that in your own words. Okay, we are at the time of your birth. Just welcome the little one. Love, embrace, celebration. That you are here. Please do that. It's 15-year-old now. So you're 15-year-old. And its creativity or truth was suppressed from fear. And it happened before. Now it's just coming out. As if the 15-year-old is standing there in that place, in fear and unable to express its truth, or even its emotion, because of fear. To address it, well, we clear it out. Okay, present moment, right now, as you are in your life. What is that thing that you are holding on to, you're not able to express about yourself? So bring that up. Whatever is holding on to it, release it if you can. Take a deep breath and release. And so think about your mother. So your mother's ancestor river is coming up. So your mother's side. So what she went through as a child, her pain is in your field. And see if you can acknowledge and send love to your mother, especially her childhood. Okay, now I'm on your throat, clearing all this up, everything that came up. Okay, we will begin to wrap up. So keep the body in a protective place so it continues to process this change. And surround with the cocoon of 528 hertz. Now take a few moments to settle gently into your body and simply be with what is here. Maybe something inside feels lighter, and something is still uncertain or tender. All of it is welcome. Bring to mind the part of you that showed up today, the voice that criticizes, the one that has been working so hard to protect, and let it know gently that you are heard. You don't have to do this all alone anymore. I'm here with you now. And if it feels right, place a hand on your heart or your belly and feel your body held by the ground, supported, safe. And silently offer yourself this truth. I can move forward gently. I don't need to push. No part of me will be left behind. I'm learning to lead with care. Let those words echo inside like a quiet promise. And when you be ready, just begin to return back into the space around you. Just carry this simple knowing. You are leading from within, and that is enough.